Hey, what's up, YouTube? My name is Justin, and I am the poker guy. I appreciate you stopping by. Welcome to the channel. So, today's episode is a special one. This is vlog number 1 of the channel. It's finally getting kicked off, and I am so excited to share with everybody. So, what to expect on this channel: cash games, tournaments, low to mid stakes, ups, downs, everything in between, all about the poker life all the time. So, today's episode, I head to one of my favorite places in the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. I head to Bellagio and Aria. So, strap in, buckle up, let's go. Welcome, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the channel. This is vlog number 1, and I am in Las Vegas, Nevada, at the heart of all poker, the Bellagio. So today I'm in the 1-3 no limit game, and I'm in for 300. But before we get started, please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button, and make sure you click that notification bell to be in the loop anytime I drop new content. With that being said, let's get right into the hands. In this hand, the action folds over to me in middle position, and I look down at a premium of Ace King of Spades. I open the 15, and at this time, the game has been pretty solid. Not a lot of action. Seems like everyone's just trying to play solid, trying to fill the game out and see how it's going to play. I pick up 2 callers, so with $45 in the middle, we're going to see a flop 3 ways of Queen 5 Jack, 2 diamonds. It checks to me, I check, and the last player is now going to lead for 20. Folds to me. It's not the best spot in the world, but I do have 2 overs and a gut shot, so I decide to pill one here and see the turn. In hindsight, I definitely would have liked to check raise better, because most turns when I miss, it might go check check, and most turns I'm just going to have to fold. And this turn is incredibly bad, which is the Queen of Hearts. And this player now leads for 30, and I just have to fold and look for a better spot. Now what feels like the next 2 hours, I go completely card dead. So after folding for what feels like the entire session, I finally pick up my next playable hand, which is the Queen 10 of clubs. Now, to be honest, at this point in the session, I've been so card dead, this hand might as well be aces. So there's no way I'm folding. Normally I would 3-bet this hand and try to isolate, but this player has been the main villain of the game. He's been hyper aggressive and shown some very questionable holdings at showdown, so I elect just to call my Queen 10 and be deceptive. However, this allows 2 players to come along, so we go 4 ways to a flop with 40 in the middle of King Jack 4, 2 hearts. The original raiser c-bets for 15. Now I briefly think if I should raise here, but I ultimately elect on a call with my open ender, and then it folds to the big blind who comes along as well. So with $85 in the pot, the turn is the 5 of diamonds. It checks to me, and I elect to check to try to realize my equity. And the river comes the beautiful ace of hearts. I get there, I hit my straight, and the action checks to me. Now, in my opinion, this is a mandatory bet. It's way too nitty of a check back, especially how the hand's been played. Now, I do understand that the obvious draw got there, which is a flush draw, but I think one of these players would have bet it if they had it because they wouldn't want to risk it checking through. So now I want to pick a size. I want to get paid, but I don't want to bet so much that I'm only going to get called when I'm beat. So I elect on a sizing of 50, and I elect to spike the pot with a black chip. So at this moment, I'm in a clear bet fold mindset. I'm betting for value because I don't think he's ever raising or ripping it unless he has me beat. And in that case, I can fold for value as well. But this player thinks about it for not too long, and he eventually decides to make the call. I announce my straight, and it's good. So we drag a $185 pot as we get ready to close out our session.
I guess technically I had you crushed until that ace came out.
Got lucky.
Probably not though.
I got there on the river.
Get there sometimes too.
Gotta get there sometimes.
So at this point, the game really started to die down. The action dwindled. It was getting really late. And truthfully, I was really tired from a long day of travel. So I played 2 or 3 more orbits, but eventually decided to rack up my chips and call it a night. All right, I am at Aria in the 1-3 no limit Texas Hold'em game, and I am in for my standard 300. Now, earlier in the day, I was able to go to Resorts World and I played a nice cash game session. I was able to profit, which is always nice, but unfortunately I was not able to vlog. So this being my last night in Vegas, I wanted to get some more content for the vlog, so I decided to come to Aria. And the poker gods immediately reward me for my decision as I pick up 2 cowboys in the hijack and I open the 15. So the action's going to eventually fold all the way over to the big blind, which after giving it some thought, this player is eventually going to decide to make the call. At the moment, we're playing shorthanded, and at this spot, I would be getting after this pot with a lot of different holdings. I just happen to be at the very top of my range in this instance. So we're going to go heads up to a flop in position with $30 in the middle, and the flop comes Queen, Queen, 8 rainbow. The action's going to quickly check over to me, and I decide to make a standard continuation bet here. I choose to go a little bit bigger. I go a little more than half pot to 17. And this player doesn't think too long before eventually folding, and we take it down. In this next hand, I'm under the gun, and I look down at pocket deuces. Now, normally in an aggressive game, I would just fold this hand, especially if I expect my opponents to be aggressive and 3-bet me a lot. It's just such a hard hand to play. But this game has been very passive, not a lot of raising. The only time I've seen a raise pre-flop is if someone has a premium. So with those things in mind, I feel confident in my ability to play this hand post-flop, and most importantly, be able to see a flop and see if I can spike a set. So we go heads up to a flop with 30 in the middle, that comes queen 10 deuce. So from what I've seen, this opponent has been calling big bets on the flop all night. So we spike gin, we flop a set. I just want to build a pot, so I decided to size up to 25 here, and he just instantly folds. So we get a little unlucky there that he just didn't have anything, but I can't complain. It's always nice to drag a pot. In this next hand, the action gets folded over to me, and I'm on the low jack, and I look down at ace king off. So we pick up a premium in late position, and I make a standard open to 20. Now the player to my left has a look. If you've played cards, you know this look. He's the tightest person in the game, and he hasn't 3-bet once, and now he 3-bets to $75. So now I'm really confused. I go deep into the blender here. I try to figure out what exactly would he be holding in this spot. I have ace king, so that means I have the blocker to aces, kings, and ace king. So those combos are less likely. So now I start to think, what hands would he do this with? Maybe tens, jacks, queens. But I don't even think this kind of player would put this type of action in with tens or jacks. So that means queens is probably the most logical holding. But even then, I can't pill here with my stack size. I only have a little bit more than a pot size bet left behind. And when I miss, I'm just dead. And if I rip it here, the only hand that I'm going to be excited about is going against queens, and I'm still flipping, or I'm just completely dead to aces and kings. So with all that information going through my mind, this is this player's very first 3-bet. I ultimately decide to find a different spot, and I eventually find the fold. This player later on would tell me that he also had ace king, so that was one of the hands that I thought he could have, even though it was rare because I had that holding. But great bet, nice hand, man. In the last hand of the vlog, I'm in late position, and I look down at ace 10 of hearts from the hijack, and I make a standard open to 15. So the action's going to fold through most of the table until it gets to the small blind who's been sticky all night. And even though the game started to die down, this is still one of the players that I've been trying to target a lot to play a lot of hands against. So especially in position here, even though it's a small pot, this is definitely an ideal situation for me. So we go heads up to a flop that comes 10 king deuce rainbow. Now this player does something odd. He decides to donk lead into me for 15. So now I think about raising, but I also don't want to blow him off a bluff. And almost always when I see this, it's always a bluff. So I decide to give him some rope. And the turn comes the 9 of spades. The villain knuckles, and I knuckle back. And the river comes the 8 of hearts. He thinks for a second, decides to check. I check back, and he shows 3-4 offsuit for complete error, and I roll over the winner. So shortly after, I get ready to rack up my chips and head to the cage. So to recap the sessions in Vegas, I lost at Bellagio, but was able to book wins at Resorts World and Aria. So ultimately on the trip, I was able to book a win of $156. So ultimately not the biggest win in the world, but we're still starting to blog off with a win. And I think I heard somebody once say, winning is winning, which is never a bad thing. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. Please click that like and subscribe button and click that notification bell. And please leave me a comment and I'll respond in the YouTube comment section. And so for the very first time, and definitely not the last, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.